we haven't even really talked about where Ole Miss is. They're now number 4 in the country.
Which makes me a little nervous, obviously. And you and
Of
I were
course it
sitting
does, because you're still an absolute diehard, unapologetic homer about Ole Miss. It's just true.
Yeah. And we were sitting up there talking this week, and you said, I
was figuring to say, well, that's the pot calling the kettle black, man, or something.
Well, I don't even need to say that. I think the people that know us would know that.
Hold up,
right?
Dude, hold up.
But you said number 7 would probably make the most sense, and I agreed with you. But I was even hoping. I said, Ben, I hope they underestimate this team and put them at 10.
He did, and you even said it during the game too. He was like, "We're going to win this game, and when we do, dude, I hope they rank us 8th or 9th."
I just
he loves the disrespect thing. I just
because it is it. I do. I know we all laugh about the rat poison thing, but I believe in it because year in and year out, especially in the case of Ole Miss, you see it with tons of other teams too. I feel like when Ole Miss gets a lot of love nationally, the following week or a couple weeks, you kind of come back down to earth. And so I don't like to build up a team too much after just one win. This is Ole Miss's best SEC win. It's a hell of a win for them against a good LSU defense, albeit a bit overrated. I keep
interrupting you. Hold your thought, but seriously, folks. I mean, that's what I do as my day job. That's what my job. This podcast is my favorite blessing in my job every week. But my day job is I write and talk about Ole Miss for On3's Ole Miss site. Just search it, Ole Miss on 3, hit join. You can sign up for $1. And I have been saying it since it happened. That was inarguably one of, if not the best and most complete win of Lane Kiffin's tenure at Ole Miss. Yes, it was 24-19, but me and Sudu were sitting there. We watched every snap and everything and every development, everything as it happened in real time. It wasn't that close.
It was not. And I mean, you give up over 100 yards in penalties, whether you agree they should have been penalties or not. You had a fumble on a drive that you should have probably scored a touchdown. There's so many opportunities that Ole Miss could have, essentially stopped on this LSU team.
You remember 2008, Ole Miss went to LSU with Jevin, God rest his soul?
Yeah,
and they dumped them 31-13. It was way closer to being that score, the way that game played out, than it was what it ended up being, 24-19.
No doubt about it.
LSU really, after Ole Miss took the lead and sustained the only real push, that first real push. I mean, LSU came out and they were taking it to Ole Miss now, but Ole Miss was just hanging in, and they took the best shot LSU had and had all the momentum, and it was 7-3. The minute they took over and they were leading, even when it's 10-7, I have seen every consequential Ole Miss LSU game since 1993. Old Ben, little Ben would have been, chomping at his nails, oh gosh, finally big bad LSU. Ole Miss might beat big bad LSU. They're not big bad LSU anymore. Ole Miss has risen to that place as a program, to where yes, those teams, they're still good, they're still awesome, they're still tough as hell. But Ole Miss isn't the little engine that wish it could. It's there now. LSU last year, in what was considered an upset, because they're saying, very little brother behavior because Ole Miss played neck. Go on Spirit on Twitter. They play neck, which is funny, but that's petty college football stuff that you should love. You want them to talk shit like that.
Anybody would do that.
Everybody. I've seen all of these games, and I'm used to being nervous, or it's big bad LSU. How could little Ole Miss overcome this? These teams are even now. A lot of y'all are talking your crap online about, the little brother and this, that, and the other. The reality, folks, is that Ole Miss and LSU are at worst right here now in terms of how they compete on the field. Resources, y'all got it. But how Ole Miss allocates its resources, and how in my opinion, the best CEO for situation, what he has, and how he goes about his business in a proven track record is Lane Kiffin. From a competitive on the field, and it only matters about going 1-0 every week. Y'all are now here. You can accept it if you want, or you can reject it if you want. But last year, y'all rushed the field for Ole Miss when y'all beat Ole Miss. Little Ole Miss. Ole Miss didn't rush the field this year when they beat LSU. They expected to.
You also, and I've said this for many years, Brian Kelly is massively overrated as a coach.
Yes, you have. I can vouch for you.
He had great success at Notre Dame, but let's be real, those Notre Dame schedules are nothing like the rigors of the SEC.
It is true.
And obviously he's had some highs, but he's had a lot of mediocrity. And I think, the best example of Brian Kelly not being better than Lane Kiffin, because those people will have those discussions and say, well, Kelly's better. He's actually been to a national
He is not. I
championship.
disagree. Not in 2025.
I 100% agree. Is look at the way Lane Kiffin coaches versus Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly absolutely throws his guys under the bus. There was a moment where Garrett Nussmeier had to call a timeout. And I mean, just the body language, the way he went after his starting quarterback in a moment where he should have done everything to calm his guys down,
Hey, Sue,
to instill confidence in his guys.
What were the vibes like? Didn't look very good, is all I'm saying. The vibes, they were not good.
They were not good at all. And just the decisions that were made, like there were so many little things that I wish I took notes on that I was kind of keeping track of throughout the game that made me go, good God, man, Brian Kelly's getting outcoached like by a large margin here. Yeah. You know what I mean? By a very large margin here. And year after year, I say it. I think Brian Kelly's a top 15 coach, but he's not a top 5 coach. He's not a top 10 coach. Lane Kiffin's a top 10 coach.
Yep.
And I think that game was just another example of that. And you could make the case this should have been Ole Miss should have 3 straight over LSU. Obviously, last year, I think I'll
please tell them. He pulled it out. He pulled out his phone during the game. I mean, just tell them. Come on, because like you're stand on your business because it's not going to hurt any feelings.
Listen, it's
okay. He's your quarterback now, and you love the guys at Ole Miss Rebel. It's true.
I love Dart, but I think Dart was a problem in Baton Rouge a year ago. And I will say now, to Dart's credit,
he brought receipts though, folks.
I do disagree.
I didn't know there were some tough ones, but like that happens.
I made a cut. So Ben's referring to the fact that I made a cut up of all of Jackson Dart's throws from LSU a year ago. And I showed it to him in the game because people try to tell me on TikTok and YouTube and whatever, it was like, you're saying that your team led by a D2 transfer is better than Jackson Dart? And I said, Ben, just tell them to go watch the game. Jackson Dart had some awful throws. What didn't help was the fact that Lane Kiffin didn't let his best running back on the field after a huge touchdown run. After that, you barely saw him on the field. So that didn't help Dart's case, obviously. But Dart had 27 rushing yards. He had a touchdown and an interception. And if you go watch the rest of that game,
wasn't Trey Harris or somebody hurt? Jordan Watkins, you know what I mean? Like
Trey Harris was hurt. That was the Caden Lee game, and Caden Lee played a great game. But
like he had to press it. Like he had fewer options than Trinidad has.
No doubt about it.
Far fewer options.
No doubt.
Juice Wells was a bust until the bowl game.
No doubt. But I will say, like Dart had
he was misused. I mean, I think Lane and them they messed that one up. They tried to make him a slot guy. Then now look at him. He's on the the practice squad with the Giants, even despite a letdown, season at Ole Miss. But once he got into the bowl game, changed numbers too. They put him outside, and he did what he was Juice Wells again. The Juice Wells that they thought they signed from South Carolina that everybody in the country wanted.
No doubt. And so it's like, I don't want anybody to think that I'm hating on Jackson Dart, but I was just trying to show Ben, like, hey, this is the difference I was talking about. Dart took a lot of chances, and his balls
had to.
They weren't pretty either, though. The chances he took, I mean, he's throwing in double coverage, he's underthrowing, overthrowing, not one of his best games. And I was just trying to tell him to juxtapose with what was going on Saturday. I was like, you got a lot more calmer quarterback, granted it's at home. There's so many little caveats. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't want to just trash the game Dart had a year ago.
But the point is...
But it made a difference this year. And the quarterback you had under center made a difference this year in that specific game. And just great vibes for Ole Miss as they head into this bye week. Obviously, you have 2 of their toughest tests coming, going on the road at Georgia, going on the road to Oklahoma. Those are your next, after Washington State, those are kind of your next 2 games that are really going to, I think, define what the season could be even more because, obviously Washington State at home, that's a gimme, right?
Yeah, the next 2 weeks we won't be leading game runs deep with Ole Miss.
No.
Because it's a bye week and then Washington State.
Right.
But for this week, even if you weren't Mr. Ole Miss Homer and I wasn't just the Ole Miss dude for on
They're
three.
the number 4 team in the country.
They're the number 4 team in the country.
Whether we like the
Alabama
AP poll or not,
4,
which we don't.
Yeah. If Ole Miss was, if Alabama was number 4, I know what we'd have started with.
Yeah.
I'm